Afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. I see that Jamie is back to in pole position. First one on the live today. So good afternoon, Jamie. I hope you're well. Just let me know if you can see and hear me okay. I'm just going to jump into the comments. As you can see, it's just me today. Let's have a quick look. Right. Yeah. Just let us know if you're watching via YouTube. Actually, I'm going to ask twice. If you're watching via YouTube, can you let me know that you can see and hear me on YouTube? And if you're watching via Facebook, via the ECOM Inner Circle Facebook group, could you let me know that you can see and hear me from that one as well? Just waiting for a few people to jump on. The feed looks like it's going to be a little bit delayed. Imran's joined us. Good afternoon. Yeah, Jamie, thank you very much. Confirmed that can see and hear me fine on YouTube. Ahmed's joined us. Good afternoon, Ahmed. Hi, Simon. Hi, Yvonne. Perfect. Andy's in the house. Brilliant. Yeah, Michelle says Facebook is all good. Thank you. Soon must be Christmas. Well, yeah, absolutely. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Ahmed. Yeah, good to see you guys. Soon must be. That is definitely what we're going to be. You know what? We're firmly in Q3 now. I feel totally comfortable talking about Christmas and Christmas trees and my obsessive compulsive disorder with, getting the baubles in the right place. No, I'm only joking. But it is definitely the time that we need to start talking about Q4 now. It's become a reality. Q3 is well and truly here. We're in it. Yes, we have got the whole of Q3 to go, but I always think Q3 is like the warm up for Q4. It gives you all the opportunity to get your ducks in a row. So we're going to be talking about that today, definitely, because what I want is everybody in this group, everyone that watches these videos, to be able to have the best possible opportunity to have their best Q4 ever, to be able to really maximize it. I was talking about this with a very successful seller just yesterday. We were talking about, Q4, when you have a business and you make investment in your business and you maybe add extra staff, depending on where you are in your business, it might be, if you're at the early part in your business, it might be, introducing a prep center, which is a cost that maybe you haven't factored into your business as yet. So what would generally happen is, while you're paying out for the cost of the prep, your business may not be growing as much during that period of time because you're covering the extra cost of the prep. And this happens at different stages all throughout business. When you invest in your business, you invest in yourself. Sometimes business can stagnate for a little period of time whilst you're getting used to covering those extra costs and they're being absorbed by the business. And then what can happen is, providing you'll get yourself into a really, really good position, then what you can do is you can use periods of time like Q4, that special 6 weeks in the right run up to Christmas, where you can really choose to recover back some of that stagnation and use that opportunity to kind of ratchet up and grow from there. But that's something that, I was talking to a really big seller about this week. So, but that happens at different stages of business, all throughout different stages of business. You don't need to be a 7-figure seller to have that conversation. It might well be it's the first time you're thinking about taking on a sourcing VA, but we'll come on and we'll talk about that. I can see the comments going a bit mental. So let me stop chatting away. Oh, by the way, if anyone hasn't noticed, Matthew's not here today. He's off on a jolly on holiday. So he may tune in, he may not. He's on holiday, so it's up to him, of course. So Harwa's joined us. Hi, John. Hi, Imran. Hi, Hayden. Ahmed, tap, tap, tap. Unicorn Christmas bauble time. Absolutely. Q3. Hayden saying sales are much better than I thought in the summer. Absolutely. Oh, Ahmed saying sales in the last 5 days were bad. Yeah, probably not to, I don't know, beginning of the month. It's a lot to pay out for at the moment for a lot of people. So, I get it why people are, potentially, it depends what you're selling, of course. It's a mixed bag for everybody. If I say it's going to be good for some people, it might not be good for others because they're selling in different niches. Love that, Sean. Q4 is going to be amazing, even in a crash. I believe that. I believe this Q4 is going to be a really good Q4 for the people that get their ducks in a row. Hayden says that's interesting. Might have been great. Is this the UK or the USA? Ahmed says UK, USA, Germany, all three are down. Sorry to hear that. I'm sure it will just be temporary. Especially when you're selling a wide range of products, you can never guarantee, obviously that it's going to be continued sales the whole time. And this ultimately, this period of time, when you think about it, I always think of your circle, think of the people, around you that, most of my circle, most of the people around me are, either on holiday, thinking about going on holiday, doing stuff with their kids. It's kind of that time of year. If we were sat here in the first week of December and people were telling me that sales were bad, then I'd be worried, but not in the first week of July, as we're approaching summer holidays, as people are, probably going to use, if you believe what people say, one of the last opportunities to be able to get out and have holidays and things like that. So it's one of those things that we expect sales to be on the leaner side this time of year, definitely. Hi Harminder, hi Nick, hi Stuart, hi Denise, hi ho, absolutely. Surprised to see Sean's always positive. He's actually one of the most positive sellers that I know, in terms of sales and Amazon and everything like that. So yeah, definitely. He's always positive for sure. Hi Stuart, hi Paul, loads of people jumping on. Well, good afternoon everyone. So yeah, this is really what I wanted to have a quick kind of check with people. I don't know how long we'll be on for today because obviously it's just me. So you guys have got to keep me company. You've got to keep me company, and ask lots of questions throughout the live. There's a few things I want to go through. As you know, and I've been posting in the group, we've recently jumped back into the arbitrage game. And it's something that we've been working through. So I've made a couple of discoveries that I've made posts about this week in the group, but I just want to run through and clarify a few things. A couple of things that I've noticed on some funny business going on with variations at the moment as well. So I just wanted to warn you guys about that. Also, like I said, I want to talk about Q3, the things that you can be doing now to ensure that you're going to be ready for Q4. What else is there? And also just really maximizing the opportunities that you've got right now. So, that's the way that I see it, is just, now is a really good opportunity to be able to kind of get your ducks in a row. And with what you're doing now, making sure you're maximizing it as much as possible. Nick says, what do you mean about the holidays? I don't know which part of the holidays you mean, but from 2 point of views, it's like from the holidays, really from the first week of July. This is when we see the private schools kind of breaking up. From now for the next 3 weeks, in reality, people, start thinking about, as they haven't been able to the last couple of years, summer holidays. That's where they're spending, the bulk of their kind of disposable income, I suppose. But if you mean in terms of, last chance, what I mean by that is, for a lot of people, and this is a pretty blanket statement, but it's true, they might not be able to afford a holiday next year, because of the rising costs and things like that. So, but traditionally, this is definitely the quietest time where we see a reflection of kids going on holiday, parents having to pay out to, keep their kids occupied. I'll tell you what, I took 3 kids to the cinema on Sunday and it cost 70 quid. Well, it didn't actually, because we managed to use discount codes and we managed to get it down to 54, but 70 quid, for people that don't know how to maximize the discount codes, I think 70 quid. And then by the time you factored in drinks, snacks, everything like that, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy, the cost of everything at the moment. So that's what's occupying people's minds, essentially. So Matthew says, can you ask her a question? Yeah, absolutely. Fire away. Where are we? Comments. 500 into £1 million sale business. It works. Sean says, I'm not really sure. You know, yeah, not really sure what that means, but yeah, if you want to clarify that, Sean, please do. Sean says, I'm not enjoying these minimum quantity orders at the moment. Customer return. Yeah, I know you brought this up the other day, actually. So has anyone else been experiencing this? I can't remember if we spoke about this in Nevermind the Buy Box or ESA. Apologies. But for those that are doing the minimum quantity orders, which I believe have to be done through Seller Fulfilled Prime, is anyone else experiencing that people are ordering the minimum quantity and then returning a certain amount back because they're not needed? I know that that's something Sean's experiencing. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing. So it would definitely be worth, hearing people's thoughts. Guessing Amazon automatically refunds without doing anything anywhere can disable this. Not that I'm aware of. I think when you sign up for the program, it's something that you probably have to adhere to. It's probably the standard terms of service, like you can't stop them automatically issuing a refund for anything that is on FBA. Yes, it's Seller Fulfilled Prime, so it is different. You do have a certain amount, but as I understand it, with Seller Fulfilled Prime, you still have to adhere to the rules of Prime, as in FBA. So you still have to follow those rules. Whether there is a, whether there is a, I suppose, something that you can go through and click off, I'm not sure. Do you know what? This is a great tip for everyone, actually. When I always find, so that program will have a name, a specific name. When you're looking for something specific to predominantly to disable something, if there's an option to disable, the best thing to do is to look in the top right hand corner of Seller Central under the help section. There is a search bar, and you can type anything in there. And do you know what? It's really handy, because what it does is it takes you directly to the page that it refers to for that particular issue. I know we all, moan about Seller Central and, its glitchiness and the people that run it and everything like that. Sorry. Comments coming in at the moment. Okay, sorry, some weird comments coming in at the moment. So go to the search. If you go to the search, and then what you want to do is just type it in, and it will take you to that area. It will take you to that area online, and you will be able to find out what you need to kind of disable that area. So yeah, hopefully that will come up in the search area. Sorry, there were some weird comments coming in there that really distracted me, so I just have to get rid of that. Get rid of them. Right, let me go back. Yes, try that, Sean. See if you can type it in the help section and see where you go from there. Right, so let's have a quick look. Yvonne said about the cinema, you need to get 3 mobile. You get tickets for £3 at the weekend. Yeah, that's a good idea, definitely. Stuart says minimum order quantity works with FBA too. Right, okay, I see. So yeah, you're probably just bound by the standard type of yeah, that's interesting. Sean, are you doing it under FBA or are you doing it under Seller Fulfilled Prime? Because actually, thinking about it, if you're doing it under Seller Fulfilled Prime, you've probably got more chance of having more option to be able to be in charge of refunds. So I think that's probably the way, to have a look at it. Simon says, do you think more people are leaving Amazon FBA because the work involved, or is Amazon still a cash builder for people? A lot of people from 3-4 years ago don't seem active in the groups anymore. So, yeah, that's a really fair question, I suppose. I don't necessarily think it's because the system doesn't work anymore. If you think about it, and what you can experience and learn over a 3 or 4 year period of time with selling on Amazon, I think people move on to different things. I think people expand. I think people get whatever they want to get from, Facebook groups. They outsource their business, and they they have not a lot of need for, the kind of Facebook groups anymore. Maybe they expand into eBay, Etsy. Maybe they expand into, offering different services on Amazon, that type of thing. I don't believe everyone just quits. I think people generally go on. But of course, absolutely nobody is, nobody can say that this type of business offers 100% success guaranteed, because it doesn't. And there's been a lot of changes. COVID would have killed a lot of people's business, for various different reasons. The pandemic grew a lot of people's businesses, but it probably killed a lot of people's businesses, not necessarily just from an Amazon point of view. We knew that boomed during that period of time. But if you were someone that had an external factor during the pandemic that affected you, maybe a different source of income, and Amazon was a side hustle, maybe you didn't have time for that anymore. To answer your question, I think it's a fantastic cash builder. And now, if you'd have asked me that question 3 or 4 years ago, I would say it was a cash builder. Now, what I would say is that I think it's a great cash builder. Absolutely, the arbitrage side of things. But I also think it's a fantastic gateway into business. And I also think for those who really do stick and focus on the arbitrage side of things, have got the best chances ever now of really expanding it into a full-time business. With the opportunity to, outsource it as much as possible. There's so many different options you can do with it. So I definitely think it's still, it's still there. For the people that want it. Obviously, you just have to do things in different ways, and look for those gaps and look for the competitive edges that other people aren't. So, that's the way I kind of see it. Denise, I'm in the US. Fulfillment fees seem way more than I remember. Not the 5% increase. What that transport cost hike we had. Things I expect a 3.5 is more like 5 or even a 7. Is it just me? So that's a question for everybody that's selling in the US. Yes, there was transport fees. I think overall there has been an FBA fee increase. Increase over the last couple of months anyway. I think that the FBA fees went up, and then they added the 5%. I also think there's been a change in the small and light program, which I know probably wouldn't affect those type of fees. But I think overall, it's something that they generally do go up every single year. Unfortunately, it's just something that you have to ensure that you keep an eye on. I don't know if there's many direct US sellers that are selling here right now that have had lots of experience of selling in the US that could probably answer that question, I'm afraid, Denise. But ultimately, we know that there was a big fulfillment fee jump. So what I would advise you to do is make sure you get yourself something like Buybot Pro, which will ultimately give you an accurate and up-to-date account of what all of the fees are, so you can make your decisions based on real-time fees, because getting the fees right is ultimately one of the things that a seller has to ensure, because it can be a big shock when it comes in, you realize that you haven't accounted for the fees properly. But in short, yes, fees have massively gone up. There's no doubt about that. Let's have a quick look. Simon says sales have been shocking recently. My repricer is telling me it's 76% at my minimum, which is just 60p. Not sure what else I can do, but to keep sending and keep getting on more ASINs. Yeah, absolutely. I think you've definitely asked the question there. I think that, ask yourself the question there. It's something that just keep feeding that beast. And ultimately, during this period of time, you've just got to keep going as much as possible. Again, I was saying this to another seller in another area this morning. We're saying about the key to this is consistency. If it was me and I was experiencing that, then what I would probably do is I wouldn't scale down to nothing and stop. But what I would do is I would kind of vow to scale to a level of consistency to make sure I'm still consistently sending in, but maybe be a little more picky over this period of time of the type of products that you're sending in at the moment. Ultimately, because it's just really a time, I suppose, that over the next 2 months in particular, it's going to be some of the quietest time. And ultimately, the what we sort of see now is, some of those bread and butter listings, maybe on the grocery side, that might fall under the multiple. A lot of people don't feel comfortable sending those in at this time of the year, which is quite rightly so. We're getting into a period of time now where the fulfillment centers, certainly in the UK, are going to be at the hottest. So, unless you want a barrage of complaints and returns and things like that, it's probably not such a good idea to be able to send those in at the moment. But just keep going, keep consistent, keep consistent. Have a look back over your inventory, pick out the winners, replenish those first. Make sure you're replenishing the good before anything else. That's what I see a lot of people always make a mistake on. You're always thinking, right, new. Well, actually, sometimes you can let some perfectly good ASINs fall by the wayside because you're not keeping an eye or keeping on top of your replenishment. So always make sure you replenish the good first, and then keep with consistency. So if you're worried about sending so much in at the moment, then reduce it, but make sure you keep consistent. If you're sending in 6 boxes a week, try sending in 4 boxes a week, something like that, but focusing those 4 on the really good stuff that you know is going to sell, you've had previous good experience with, or have a higher level of ROI. Sean says merchant postage costs more profit. Oh, right. Okay. And I started with 500. We've done over 1 million in sales. Right. Sorry. Clarification. I see what I mean. Well, do you know what? If that's not testament, I don't know what is. Sean, lifetime sales over 7 figures, started with 500 quid, over 4 years to get this far, invested 45 grand, bought stuff in the company needs, scale big, and then team members left, had to get their printer and scales back. Yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, what a fantastic testament that is. £500 into 1 million. Lots of reinvestment there going on. But yeah, fantastic. Congratulations, Sean. That's such an achievement. It really is. In 4 years. I don't know anyone else, but that's quite a compounding effect over a 4-year period. I don't know many other businesses where you could invest £500 and turn it into £1 million worth of sales. We're not saying £1 million worth of profit or anything like that in such a short period of time. So hopefully, again, that adds, to what we were saying with regards to, Simon's question earlier. Andy says, I've seen a lot of slowdown, so I've ramped up my RA trips. Perfect, where I can get better ROI and ship it in right away. It's a good time to review what's been working, as it's easy to leave a lot of money behind you when you keep looking for new stuff. Yeah, exactly. That's great advice there, Andy. Look for where that you can get those better ROIs. Don't leave that stuff on the table, constantly hunting for new stuff. Go back over all of your old deals. Hopefully you're all keeping a record of them. So you should have a good idea of good something to be able to, to draw back on and, have a look and see what's working and what hasn't working. Cindy said, just sat down for my cheese sarnie and what's it's healthy lunch and chat with Nat. Perfect. Yeah, Andy, I saw your figures earlier. Congratulations. Started with 0 and just turned over more than 300,000 in 3 years part-time. Another amazing result, another amazing testimonial, definitely on this type of business and how it can really, really help. But like I said, what I said in a post a couple of days ago, you've got to look for those gaps, guys. You've got to look for the things that other people aren't doing. You've got to be looking for those extra discount codes. Make sure when it comes down to your due diligence that you are really diving deep, especially for making purchases and sales this time of year when it is not traditionally the busiest time of the year. Hey, welcome, Luke. Luke said, I'm so glad. Do you know what? I actually thought about you before this live, Luke, and I thought, I know Luke's left his job now. So let's all give Luke a well done for, starting his full-time entrepreneurial journey. I did genuinely think of you this afternoon as before I went live and thought, I wonder if Luke will be joining because there's no excuse not to. So yeah, congratulations, Luke. Welcome to the Full-Time Entrepreneur Club. Stuart says cash flow hurts in this climate. VAT, CT whilst maintaining. Sorry, I don't know what's CT. Just clarify that. I can't work out the initials at the moment. Whilst maintaining. CT. What is that? Trying to work it out. Yeah, VAT, CT whilst maintaining stock flow. Absolutely. This is why. Guys, do you when you're replenishing your stock, do you guys look at, the stock that is making you the most money first? Do you guys look at that and see what's where the opportunity lies? Is that something you're checking on probably a fortnightly and a monthly basis, looking back over the previous sales period, depending on how often you review it? Probably something like seller board's going to be the best, the best indicator to look over a certain period of time to see how many units you've sold of a certain thing, and checking whether or not you can replenish those items. Is that something you all do? I never want to teach people to suck eggs. I never want to, advise stuff that obviously you guys are all fully aware of. But to me, certainly during doing arbitrage, that's a pretty standard rule to be checking that back on probably a fortnightly and a monthly basis over your period sales at the previous sales period, and seeing what sold for you the best and making a decision on whether or not you can get more of it. Okay, great. If you can't get more of it, why can't you get more of it? Okay, it was a one-off sale. Right, let me try and track down, is there, if it's not available actually from a retail or an online arbitrage point of view, that potentially could be quite a good thing, which means that a lot of the interest that might have come onto that product might die. So therefore, it could well be that it's a great listing, but it's just a supply issue. Okay, perfect. You now need to look at it and see if you can get supply for anything else. Can you get a supply from a wholesaler? If not a wholesaler, how about a distributor? Is there someone that's got the exclusive rights to distribute that product in the UK? Is there someone that's got the exclusive rights to distribute that product anywhere else in Europe and beyond? Can you go to the manufacturer direct? All of these different type of questions. You have to use the information that you collect, you work for, and you pay for. You have to use it at your advantage, because if you're just forgetting about the stuff that's working for you, and like Andy said, like I said previously, and constantly looking for that new, you become a little bit of a busy fool. You're just chasing your tail all of the time. You want to try and get that strong foundation of kind of bread and butter guaranteed listings that you can rely on month after month. Now, no listing's guaranteed to last forever, but of course, if you can find a level of supply that requires just that little bit of extra work that the average person is not prepared to do, that will definitely push you ahead. That's the sort of competitive edge that we're talking about. So let me know if that's something you can do. or let me know if it's something you do if you're checking back on that previous sales period. And like I said, for me, Seller Board has the best infrastructure to show how to do that, because you just literally, it lists in order of the products that you've sold the most over a certain period of time. Let me check on the comments. I'll go down and check on that first. Hopefully. Oh, corporation tax. Sorry. Thanks, Stuart. Yes, I look back, but not often enough. Also check the same things that sold each month last year. Absolutely. You should be doing that over the full period of time that you've been selling for, definitely. So hopefully that's a good tip for you guys, because like I said, whatever software you use, if it's Sunfly, if it's Sellerboard, I personally like that feature on Sellerboard because, that's the one that, I recognize it most on there. But whether or not it's I'm sure there's something similar on Sunfly as well for all of you guys that are using that. So yeah, that is, like I said, that's bread and butter. That's pretty staple. If you guys aren't doing it, make sure you do it, because the guys out there that always seem like they have the replenishable items, well, there's a reason for that, and that's because they do things like that. And of course, it's the perfect job for a VA. So if you've got a VA within your business, it's definitely something can be done over a fortnightly and monthly basis. So hopefully that's a good tip for you guys. Right, going back. Hayden says, I do, but only do it on my brand stuff in the UK. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Sean just confirming to Luke, being your own boss, you're in control. Definitely. Lots of nice words of motivation there for everyone. So, how do you stay motivated during this period of time? Well, to be perfectly honest, I think the best way is to keep yourself busy with things that are going to increase your business, that are going to increase your business. So what I always say to people is Q3 is the gateway into Q4. So it's your opportunity really to kind of get your ducks in a row, think about what you want to achieve in Q4 and how you're going to achieve it in Q4. So this is the time where you can look back over your previous Q4 if you have been selling. It's a little bit more difficult, obviously, for anyone that hasn't had a Q4 previously, and try and think about all of the things that you could have done differently if you were in that position that you are in right now, where you've got added cash flow running through your business. Hopefully you've got more experience, you've got better buying decisions, potentially more cash flow. Like I said, Stuart, obviously cash flow is hard. We a bit later in Q3 we're going to talk about cash flow specifically and all the things that you can do to maximize cash flow in order to kind of fuel you into Q4. So I'm not going to go into that too much today, but I will say for anyone that saw my post about the Klarna and the ClearPays and things like that in the group, take a look at that as well. So it's not a massive fix, but what it can do is it will keep you it's just another option to be able to kind of fund your business. But please do it responsibly. It's not financial advice. I don't want anyone sort of saying, oh, I signed up for Klarna and now I can't pay it back. You still have to do it in the most responsible way. If you're bad with money and bad with credit, don't do it. That's the way I say it. So it's using this time, this opportunity now to really look at everything. And like I said, visualization, I think, is one of the best ways, especially if you've had a Q4 previously. What would be all the things that you would have done, last Q4 if you were in the same position now? Some of the things that people really want to expand in Q4. I think that's the most common thing that we see. So people want to expand in Q4. So what do I mean by that? Well, Q4 is actually not really a good time to expand and start trying new things. You want to have tried all of your new things and got them in place ready for Q4. So this is going to sound really, really odd, but Q4, in my opinion, is not a time for expansion. It's a time for growth. It's a time for scalability within your business. So those kind of things that you require within your business, cash flow, prep, sourcing, assistance in your business, staff, VAs, anything, equipment, if you're building a warehouse, or if you want to get a warehouse, if you're moving from home to a unit, this stuff should be done now, between now and the end of Q3. You do not want to try and make those kind of decisions when your main goal and your main priority should be growth during Q4. It shouldn't be, oh, I might take on a prep center in Q4. Believe me, that's the worst time you can try and take on a prep center for a number of reasons. One, they're probably, you'll struggle to probably find, unless they're a new prep center, many prep centers that will want to take on new clients during Q4 because they're already busy with the clients that they've got. Two, if you are fortunate enough to get into a prep service, how do you know if they're going to be any good? Are they so busy that it's taking 2 weeks for your goods to be checked in and sent in? During Q4, speed is the essence. Essentially, you want that stuff going in quick. You don't want to bottleneck at the start of the business, because it could well be that if your prep center's taking 2 weeks to send the goods in, although we didn't see much of this last year, it's something Amazon really do seem to have fixed. But historically and traditionally, you see longer shipping times. I mean, shipping times at the moment are lightning quick, but back in the day, it wouldn't be unusual to see 2 weeks for something to be shipped into Amazon from its starting destination. So you don't want to be waiting, because cash flow is going to, the main thing is cash flow in Q4. If you kill your cash flow, you potentially kill parts of your Q4. If you cannot send the goods in quick enough, rinse that money, send it in, get it sold, get the money back out, and compound that, your sourcing investment as much as possible over Q4. You will not experience the growth that your business probably needs during that period of time. One, to take you through the lean months of the following year, and to put into place, some of the expansion that you'll need to expand the year after, if it makes sense. So Q4 is not a time for testing. Q4 is a time for making money. It's the time for growth within your business and doing everything that you want to do to be able to take your business to the next level beyond Q4. So Simon says fulfillment centers taking a bit longer than normal at the moment. So yeah, let us know. Is that the case? Generally, like I said, last year for Q4, they definitely seem to have got that issue a bit sorted from, a few years before. And which surprised me, actually, because we were still in technically were we in a pandemic then? I can't remember. No, we weren't. The years merged together. But yeah, so guys, start thinking about the decisions you want to make. I doubt there's many of you that are watching this that is going to take on a VA and a prep center and try and grow their business, by 6 figures, all of, an admin, VA, members of staff, warehouse, that type of thing. But there's probably a good chance that with what you're going to achieve in Q4, then you might make one major change in your business over that period of time, whether it's you're doing self-prep yourself and self-sourcing. Well, it might well be that you want to ensure that you get in that that stock as quickly as possible. So therefore, time is the essence. You take heed of what I've said, and therefore you decide that you're going to outsource your sourcing to give you the time to be able to prep and send those goods in. Well, now's the time you need to start thinking about that VA to do it. Otherwise, it'll get to Q4 and you'll just be too busy. That's what it comes down to, and it's not the time to test during that period of time. Also, as well, new prep centers during Q4, just watch out for those, because if they have not experienced a Q4, before, then they might get a big shock. So when you are looking for prep centers at the moment, just just talk to the owner, talk to the operator, and ask them a few questions. Is it a first Q4? How long have they been going? What do they put in place to be able to make sure that you don't get a bottleneck of you don't get a bottleneck of stock, where you're just going to be constantly every 5 minutes, has my stock left, has my stock left, has my stock left. It would just be too frustrating for you. So if you are thinking about taking on a prep center for the first time during Q4, I think my best bit of advice is definitely try now, and also test them. Don't just go on the one recommendation. Take 3 and all send them a couple of shipments each and see which one works out the best. It's not just about the quickness of how quickly they get the parcel, but what's their communication like? Is there any hidden extras that you weren't aware about? All these different types of things. So I would definitely recommend going through that testing process now, seeing which one works. So I tell you what, if it's rubbish now, they're going to be worse in Q4. That's the hard truth. Essentially, if you're getting delays and excuses now, it's not gonna be any better in Q4. So cut them loose and try someone else now. Otherwise, you've only got yourself to blame. Essentially, I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. So yeah, make sure you ask those questions. But also, again, final note on prep centers is do give your prep centers a bit of a break during Q4. Please understand, and I mean, they should be managing your expectations on this, not me, but please understand that naturally things are going to take slower. Now, if they guarantee you outside of Q4 24 hours, then I would say probably allowing up to 72 hours would be a reasonable increase during the Q4 period of time, unless they've taken on too many new clients and they're struggling. But what is not reasonable is, learn the difference between what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. That's what I'm trying to say. What's not reasonable is if they've been guaranteeing you 24-hour turnaround to then go to 2-week turnaround. Know the difference between what is reasonable during that period of time and what is not. So that will save you a hell of a lot of frustration, believe me. And yeah, try not to change during Q4 if you can help it as well. So yeah, get those ducks in a row. Use the opportunity now to know what you want to achieve during Q4. How are you going to achieve it? So what do you need to put in place now? Does doing paperwork stop you from sourcing more deals or prepping more boxes? Okay, maybe it's time to now think about outsourcing that. You want to train and get them in place now. You don't want that added stress during Q4, believe me. Harminda says, do you think sellers are driving prices down because of a lack of cash flow? I think, yeah, that's a contributing factor. I also think that there are more big margin, 7-figure sellers than there have ever been because of the opportunity that, Amazon's delivered over the last couple of years. Whereas I think in reality now, a few years ago, you didn't have as many bigger volume sellers that have really used the pandemic to scale their businesses. And we all know when it comes to the bigger volume, lower margin sellers, it's all about speed of sale. It's about compounding, that their cost of goods as much as possible. So as long as there is a percentage of profit, they're going to go for that. So they tend to drive those prices down. We all know now it's a little bit of a misconception that, price tanking comes from the inexperienced. It doesn't. It will generally come from the biggest sellers who want to, decrease that BSR, increase sales velocity, and recycle their money back as quick as possible. So I think that cash flow, more high volume sellers adopting that process. Where I think the inexperience comes in is watching the high volume sellers, people watching the high volume, not realizing what they're doing, and then following them off the cliff like lemmings. I think that's where the experience comes in, where they don't understand what that seller is doing, and therefore they think, hey, well, they must know what they're doing. They've got loads of products. So yeah, I'll join them and I'll follow it down. Or the people that panic, again, that comes with experience and not experience. But this time of year as well, you traditionally see a lot of people getting rid of their dead stock. So, which is something I do really encourage, actually. If it's been in your inventory for more than 3 months, why is it there? We know that Amazon measures you on a metric of restock and sell-through rate. It's something that they are judging your account on, and it builds that credibility within Amazon, that trust within Amazon, between that relationship between you as a seller and Amazon, as the owner of Amazon, obviously. So have a look at anything that's been in your stock for over 3 months, and ask yourself, why is it still there? I'm not saying drop the price and get rid of it, but ultimately anything that's been longer in your inventory than 3 months, you need to really take a long, hard look at it and make a decision at that time. Okay, can you see the price going back up? Fantastic, brilliant. You might have to wait another month and you should be in the money. But isn't it better to make an informed decision about that, as opposed to just spraying and praying and is it going to come back? Is it not going to come back? Fine. Okay. Now might be the time, because cash flow is tight, that you recycle that product, you take a loss and you get out, because everything else you're selling that day has high enough margin to be able to cover the potential loss of 5 Crayola sets or something like that. So ask yourself the question: if it's been in your inventory for more than 3 months, what's it doing there? Why is it there? And what can you do about it? Sean says Q4 food shortages. Not seeing massive evidence of that, other than sort of shelves seem pretty stocked, other than potential transport issues, cost of fuel, that type of thing. I think that's where it could be. Cost of manufacture, yes, I suppose we are going to see something like that, but yeah, I don't know. I can't really call that one, to be perfectly honest. I think there is going to be a scale back, definitely, but how much that will affect people, I'm not sure. Shallow and wide and thin and deep. Vein twitching about overbuying advent calendars. Yeah, advent calendar gate of 2021, I think it was. I think there was a number of reasons why advent calendars went so wrong for people last year. And this is why you have always got to be prepared to evolve and listen to people and adapt with what happens, year to year on Amazon, because it changes so quickly. If you went back the previous year, yes, it was in a pandemic and people couldn't get to the shops and that type of thing. So people were judging the previous year's advent calendar sales on what was going to be the next year, which was never going to be as good. People were back shopping, people were out and they could pick stuff up. There wasn't good shortages like there was during the pandemic. So people, I think, made a mistake looking at it from that point of view, overestimating the demand and underestimating the supply. I think another contributing factor from one year to the next, like I said, people really grew their businesses during the pandemic. So what I would say is people really discovered a lot of the hidden wholesalers and hidden suppliers that had been exclusive to probably the more full-time, longer sellers, more experienced sellers. I saw evidence of wholesalers going on deal sheets and things like that. So people were far more exposed to the supply. And you had people, on YouTube, like us, and people saying like that, Advent calendars are great to sell, because they are. But there was just too much supply for a decreased demand from the previous year. So a lot of people did end up getting banned, and people took over listings and, IP claims. And yeah, I would say this year, it's a little bit like tread with caution. Look at the unique opportunities that you can create with Advent calendars, with seasonal products. What I will say is, whilst everyone else was focusing on Advent calendars last year, I know a hell of a bunch of sellers that were making a lot of money elsewhere on seasonal goods that had nothing to do with Advent calendars. So don't go too deep. That's what I'm going to say. I know I would rather sell out of something than have buyer's remorse. That's the way that I feel. I'd rather kick myself for selling out than, be stuck with Advent calendars, which some of you still are. So yeah, that's the way I see it. But yeah, I think, with the arbitrage model, it's always got to be shallow and wide, unless you can get a guaranteed supply of products, of a certain product from the manufacturer, wholesaler, direct, who has also a guaranteed supply. Then shallow and wide should still always be the best advice, for this model. Absolutely. And I suppose, again, it's going to sound really harsh, there should really never be any excuse for anyone getting stuck with hundreds of products. Because for me, if you are buying hundreds of products, you should have gone through a good couple of months of testing whether or not Amazon's going to come onto the listing, someone else has got a very large amount of stock, the manufacturer, all of these different types of thing. Don't confuse arbitrage with the wholesale selling model. They're two different models. Arbitrage, shallow and wide. Wholesale, when you've got guaranteed supply of a product, and also, what it sells at, and therefore you can make that calculated risk and invest in those units. I don't want to see anyone buying 200 of something that they don't even know whether it sells or not. That's what arbitrage is for. You test the market. You sell short-term products, not long-term products, unless it's replenishable. But you only find out if a product's replenishable once you've sold it, tested the market, and got the data. Does that make sense? Cindy said, I tried to spend my Boots points in store the other day. It wouldn't go through. Cashier called a manager. It was a message on till screen saying it wasn't working. Manager said, I'll give them a call and find out what's going on. Oh, don't worry. I said, I'm in a rush. I'll call them later. Legging it out before the reseller police arrested me. Do you know what? That would have been really interested to find out what the issue was, because I tried to spend some Boots points last week and they just wouldn't go through. It wasn't, I didn't have a lot left in my account, probably about 70-80 quid, something like that. But still, it's, I was planning on buying myself something nice and I couldn't get it. First world problems, guys, I know. But as always, never build up your points. Spend them as you go. We've seen too many people lose too many points because they're building them up and they're saving them for Christmas, or they're doing this or doing that. Remember, benefits of arbitrage: cashback, points, loyalty points, air miles, Nectar points, Boots points, Tesco Club Card points. Those are a bonus of this business. If they are removed at any time, it's, that's something you always have to kind of expect. So they're a bonus. Do not rely on them. Spend them as you get them. Don't allow anything to build up. Otherwise, you'll generally get a bit of a shock. Yes, utility warehouse card in the Boots store. Definitely maximize those opportunities where you can. Just wanted to spend my point. Yeah. Do you know what? I always thought that if you couldn't sell, if you couldn't do it online, that you'd have a much better chance in store. But obviously they might be cracking down on that. Luke says, I still have some advent calendars. I hope they're long dated ones. Actually, do you know what? Take a look now. Weirdos buy advent calendars in July and August, oddly enough. Outside of December, the summer months for advent calendar. By the way, guys, I'm not saying you're going to sell hundreds, but I'm saying if you've got a few lying around and they're not meltable, then have a look, because there's collectors, there's people that buy this sort of stuff all the time. But don't let stuff clog up your warehouse. See if you can put a bulk load on. You know, there might be a little shop out there that, you know, in your local area that might, you know, might buy up some stock from you. Get rid of nothing should be hanging around in your house, your units, anything like that. Try and look at ways to recover the cash as much as possible, and that will help with things like cash flow during this period of time. Hayden says, I've been debating pre-ordering some unique advent calendars at the moment. Not sure. Well, if they're unique and you can see evidence of it, just don't go too crazy. Simon says, Advent calendar 2021 wholesaler inside deals and bulk stock sell. Big increase in wholesalers telling other Amazon sellers deals. Yeah, I think so, definitely. Like I said, I think there was a bigger overall awareness of people that were exposed to the deals 2-3 years ago, definitely before the pandemic. Nobody was selling advent calendars except the people in the know. You know, in terms of having high numbers, they were being picked up from retailers and things like that. So yeah, more exposure, but nothing stays secret forever. That's the important thing to remember as well. And just because you relied on it last year, it doesn't mean that you can rely on it this year. You have to find new opportunities and new sales avenues. Yeah, Christmas goods, evergreen. If you can get evergreen, fantastic. But again, do you know what? Now I'm going to say something. It doesn't contradict it. I love evergreen. Evergreen is the best. But I'll tell you what, some of those seasonal peaks are super juicy and you don't want to miss them either. Shallow and wide also means more important that you're on top of your data and knowing when to rebuy. Exactly, 100%. You and me are in complete tune today, Andy, for sure. Harminda, I think sellers get FOMO when it comes to advent calendars. I completely agree. I think they do. But you can never tell with Amazon. And I think because of everyone getting burnt so bad on advent calendars last year, you know, people were saying to me, oh, shall I buy Easter eggs? And I was a bit like, oh, do you know what? Do you remember advent calendars? You know, everyone got burnt, that type of thing. Go cautious. And then Easter eggs went nuts this year. So past data doesn't always indicate the future, but it does definitely give, it gives us an indication, a direction of where to go. Cindy said, just wanted some hair dye. But yeah, you're all going to get it. That's the thing about arbitrage. This is what I always say, especially to my unique bundle guys. This is what I always say. If you decide that you're out of arbitrage and you're not going to get back in, it's the sexy stuff like advent calendars, Easter eggs, Q4, all of the sexy stuff that sucks you back in. Just when you think you're out, it pulls you back in. That's the line from I think it's Scarface. It's so true. And that's the thing with arbitrage. Look at me. I've been out of arbitrage for 2 years, back in, because it pulled me back in with its, sexy seasonal goods and things like that. So, but if you're going to do it, don't do it out of FOMO. Do it for a specific reason. Any other questions? Christmas in July used to be a thing. Oh, that would be amazing. It's all Christmas in July. No, I do like it to be cold. I actually wish our Christmases were a lot colder, actually. I would like a really snowy Christmas. I like my Christmases to be cold, definitely. Sorry, I just went into my own Christmas head there. Yeah, 10 units. Yeah, not a lot, to be perfectly honest. Pull them out, donate them. Is 10 units worth even thinking about? Just pull them out, or have them destroyed or something. If if they're, I mean, only if they're expired, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, just have a think about it, or just drop the price. Just drop the price and see if someone will buy it. You know, break even on them. Probably the best way to go. Someone's put eat them. As long as they don't have salmonella. Hayden said, seen some big PL sellers that do millions on PL, then still can't help themselves with advent calendars. Absolutely. That's so true. It's the FOMO. It kicks in. It always does. Last year was the only year we didn't sell advent calendars. We didn't get involved in any way, shape or form with that, because we made a decision to come out of traditional reselling, traditional arbitrage the year before. We finished up on that Q4. And, you know, so, but they're so tempting, especially when you're walking around a wholesaler, which we do quite often, and you're looking at them and you can see them there. And, you know, in your head, you know, you've got that smell what sells, Alan Sugar, Phil, you know that Ferrero Rocher one sells at, you know, 4 times the price or something like that. You have to kind of keep yourself away from them. For sure. Hayden says, I've never sold them. Fantastic, unless you were selling them last year, for sure. So just a couple of things I want to finish on, actually, because yeah, can't believe it. We've been on there an hour already. So a couple of things I posted in the group this week. I've already talked about the Klarna thing. If you haven't seen that post, and you're looking for extra ways to fund your business, make sure you just, you know, search Klarna in the Facebook group. If you're watching via YouTube and you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, please do. It's ECOM Inner Circle. That is where we give our best tips and tricks and everything like that, although we will be doing some more videos on this channel soon. But then also, so yeah, just search Klarna in the group and then it will give you a bit of an indication of a little way. Like I said, it's not groundbreaking. It's not, you know, it's not going to change your life or anything like that, but it's just something to be able to put in your kind of cash flow arsenal, that if you run out of money at the end of the week, if you run out of money at the end of a sourcing month or something like that, and you get FOMO and there's loads of advent calendars on half price. No, I'm only joking. You know, you run out of your budget and you think that there's a deal that you just don't want to miss, and that could be an option for you to help increase cash flow. So have a look at that. Then the other thing was the BuyBook Pro tip that I put in the group this week, which is essentially, I've seen this posted around groups loads, where people, this is probably going to be for newer seller guys, where people who, you know, post things like, I ungated on BuyBook Pro, and or BuyBook Pro or Amazon, or someone told me that I could sell this product and I couldn't sell this product. And I bought the product. Then I tried to add it to Seller Central, and I can't sell it. I'm regated, you know, and Amazon have regated me and done this. Well, actually, it's not Amazon that have regated you, probably. What happens is there are different levels. It's like an onion when it comes to ungating. You have your brand, generally, main categories, subcategories, and there are ASIN level gatings as well, but we don't need to worry about that one. But what can happen when you look at a new product in an area that you probably haven't sourced at in the past? What I can see is there's 2 main levels to worry about. When you go for that auto ungate button, it's going to ungate you in one of 2 areas, potentially. It's going to ungate you either in the brand first, or it's going to ungate you in a subcategory first. I think generally it will always go for the brand first. So say, for instance, you want to sell some Nivea face cream or something like that. Well, what will happen is it will ungate you on Nivea, but you may be then ungated. You may stay ungated in like face moisturizers or something like that. So what I encourage everyone to do now when it comes to pressing the auto ungate button is to, if you do it, press ungate and it says success. Amazing. Hopefully you'll be able to sell that product, but just go back up to your top bar, refresh, and then it will and just run the figure back through BuyBook Pro, press analyze, and then if it says you're okay to sell, you should be okay to sell. But what you will often notice is that yeah, sorry, YouTube. Yeah, apologies, I did miss that message. I'll come back. What will happen for newer sellers is it will then go for the next category, and you might be gated in that area. So then just go through that process again. If it says rejected, hit the little square with the arrow in, and it will tell you why you've been why you've been rejected. And it could be you've been rejected to sell in this category or this brand. Then click into the next page, and if it takes you to the invoice section, then you will need to go through the invoice section. If it says sell now, click sell now, go back, refresh the page, and generally you'll find that it will be able to ungate you. But the key here is to just make sure you refresh the page after the first ungating, just to make sure that there's not a hidden secondary ungating there that is going to catch you up when you add those products to Seller Central. Okay, so hopefully that's, spoken sometimes is not as easy to understand. So again, just go back and have a look in the group. I posted that in the last week. Right, yeah, apologies, I did miss your question. I did see it and I meant to come back to it, but everyone's really chatty today. So lots of comments coming in. When you mention lower margins for bigger high volume sellers, what kind of ROIs are you talking about? 5, 10, 15%? Now, again, this is a blanket statement. I'm sure that there are high volume sellers that are at 20%, so I'm just going to go on, generally what I think people sell at ROI wise. The higher you go in turnover, generally the lower the margin goes, unless you have exclusive arrangement or agreements or things like that. Because in order to, once you get to a business, and once you get to a certain point in your business, it becomes harder to scale. The easiest scale is between 0 to 100,000 on Amazon. That's probably the easiest scale, and then 0 to 1 million is harder than 0 to 100,000. 1 million to 2 million is super hard because of cash flow, because of all these different things. So generally, that's the reason why people drop their margins and compound their money quicker. They want the money coming back quicker to them. So generally, from what I see, is anywhere between, you've got your best chance at your highest margins between 0 and 100,000. And probably up to about 200. So 0 to 100,000. Hopefully your business, depending on what you outsource and what you don't outsource. Okay, so 0 to 100,000. Probably with you doing everything yourself, hopefully your net margin is 20 to 30%. With you doing everything yourself. And I would say that's probably maintainable up to about 250,000. Once you start outsourcing, bringing staff in, using prep centers, that type of thing, probably 250,000 up to about 500,000 or the later end of the 7 figures. Then in reality, this is where the margin's going to drop. If it hasn't dropped already, because you probably one-man band from a house to get to 7 figures. It is possible. I'm tired of saying it's not possible, because it is possible. Depends on you as a person and how forgiving your family is, obviously. But what I would say is probably the next level, you're probably starting to come down in terms of margin. So if you are fully outsourced, you're 250 plus, probably anything up to about 700,000, and you've outsourced 80%, mainly your prep and your sourcing, then I would say in reality, if you are getting anywhere between 10 and 20%, that is that's a good level of, 10 to 20% is a realistic level. If you are getting between 15 and 20%, that's phenomenal at that level. That is really, really good. Then when you go, above 7 figures, I would say you're looking at sub 10%. And the more that those 7-figure scales, I would say that in reality, most people are looking between 5 and 8% for those really big margin sellers. Let me know in the comments. Does that sound about right to you guys? I think in reality, I would say anyone that's above seven figures is likely to be doing net less than 10%. Probably 5 to 8, I think, is definitely quite realistic for, you know, those kind of big volume sellers, because they have so many costs within their business. You know, generally they're not going to be working from home a lot of the time. They will be having prep centers. They may have at that level 3 to 5 VAs, you know, which is like £2,000 a month, that type of thing. But yeah, I would say that those figures are quite realistic. So hopefully that helps. First question with us today. First time joining us. Well, welcome. We hope to see you back next week. We do this every Tuesday lunchtime at 1 o'clock. It's either me, Matthew, me and Matthew with someone else, me with someone else. So hopefully now that we've established this time, we'll definitely be getting a few more guests on to expose and talk about different types of selling on Amazon and the different platforms as well. You know, that's originally why this group was conceived, in order not just to talk about Amazon all the time, but to talk about eBay, to talk about expansion to Etsy for some people, if you want to sell on your own website, you know, all these different types of areas for growth in your business. Right. I think that's about it for today. Any other questions, pop them in the group as we go along. Thanks for being so chatty today, guys, while I'm on my own. It really helped. Apologies for where I got distracted. There were some weird comments for some weirdo on YouTube. They've gone now. I've blocked them. Doing some weird stuff. I don't know if anyone saw it, but yeah, they were doing some weird stuff. So yeah, that's why I got a bit distracted at the start. So apologies for that. But yeah, any questions, pop them in the group, and you know, we shall do our best to answer them. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up to the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And once the video's finished, can everyone watching on YouTube do me a favor? Can you just pop a comment on the actual comment on the videos? I know that you're all commenting on the chat, but you know what I mean, the bottom of the video, just to say that you enjoyed the chat or whatever. If you didn't, put that as well. So it helps with any feedback. But have a great week, guys. We will see you next week. Matthew will be back next week, so we'll be talking about probably more Q3 related stuff. But yeah, have a great week, guys, and I'll see you next week. Take care.